Officials are calling it the worst drug addiction epidemic in the country's history, killing more people than both heroin and crack cocaine. Now, the government cracking down on narcotic painkillers tonight, but our next guest says these rules could take an unexpected toll on more than 500,000 veterans currently taking these prescription drugs. Here with details, Jessie Duff, a retired gunnery sergeant for the U.S. Marine Corps and now a senior fellow at the London Center for Policy Research. Welcome back to the show. We always love having you on. So these are people who may have traumatic brain injury. These people could have very serious problems, taking methadone, morphine, on and on it goes. Tell us about this rule change. What will happen?
Yes, so the DEA has essentially decided that because of the massive abuse of drugs, that now patients need to go back every 30 days to get refills. And unfortunately for many veterans, this is not possible. I read in the Washington Post that one veteran had to wait 5 weeks before the VA could even schedule his appointment. Who wants to lay in bed in pain for 5 weeks? So essentially, the VA has been over-medicating, over-prescribing, not regulating their own procedures, and causing a lot of these addictive behaviors that have led to overdoses, suicides, family and domestic abuse. And then they turn around now are going to hyper-regulate it. So they create the problem, and now they're going to hyper-regulate to resolve the problem. That's
not going to work. So somebody laying in bed for 5 weeks in pain waiting for drug meds. That's just ridiculous, ridiculous. So here's the problem I see with what they're asking the veterans to do. We already know the veteran system is broken. The hospitals are broken. They're not working. And you're going to tell me I have to go there every 30 days now? If I'm a veteran, am I going to get care?
Exactly. The patient backlog is already a serious problem for the VA. So this regulation is not helping the VA at all. However, the VA helped increase this problem. So let's look at one thing. In the past 12 years, the abuse of these drugs, actually the prescriptions of these drugs has increased by 270%. And it has outpaced, actually, the growth of veterans. So what's going on here? It's common knowledge among most veterans that I associate with that the VA solution is to over-medicate. One veteran that I read about today had actually done an overdose, had 19 different concoctions that the VA had given to him, and it caused him to overdose.
Unbelievable. So, Jessie, be clear about what these folks are taking. What drugs are we talking about?
Well, you already listed some of them. Morphine, oxycodone, there's various the high, heavy-duty painkillers that they're taking. But this is it. We've got a lot of veterans that have been taking these medications that are older, in their 50s and 60s, and they've never had a problem with abusing drugs. So here's what their big issue is. To resolve this, they need to enforce the Veterans Choice Act that passed by Congress and was signed into regulation. Essentially, it's $10 billion that allows a veteran to go get private care. But you know what the VA is trying to say? Oh no, veterans love using the VA. We want to take that $10 billion and shove it back into the VA. And it's now in President Obama's 2016 budget. You gotta be kidding me. The Choice Act allows these vets who live over 40 miles away from a hospital and have been waiting over 30 days for an appointment to get private care. But you know why vets aren't using it? Because it's gone on their credit report when they haven't been able to pay the VA bills, because it's not a credit card. They've also had a lot of bureaucracy that is really 40 miles as a crow flies, but if you were to take the roads, it may be 60 miles. So the VA is basically resisting allowing veterans to even use the very act that bipartisan Congress passed. So we're kind of stuck in a rock and a hard place.
I think what's going on here is the VA is protecting its own turf. We saw just last week that the new VA chief, who's an experienced executive from Cincinnati, Procter & Gamble, literally trying to take down a congressman who was questioning the job they were doing. This isn't an agency that's in safe hands here. Do we need new management again?
You know, this is if we can get just the Veterans Choice Act enforced, I think we can take away this monopoly of health care. Because what it boils down to is every veteran is equal a certain amount of money, in my mind, for the Veterans Administration. So every one of them that contributes to there is able to justify them asking for more money. The VA has the second largest budget next to DOD. Second largest. So as long as they have the monopoly on the health care, they're able to siphon more money out of the taxpayers and bleed us dry. Meanwhile, you've got veterans that are suffering who can't get in to get health care and can't even use a private health care provider that has been authorized by Congress. It's unbelievable.
Jessie, thank you. Always good to see you. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Jerry.